hand up, I'll just be honest, I simp for minion builds. I mean, the literal first build I played in PoE 2 was a goddamn minion build, which means anytime I see the chance to give my hands a break and let minions play the game for me, I'm gonna do it. Entering the arena, Antiquarian ward stacking. If you don't know what the fuck ward does, don't worry, I didn't either. Long story short, just think of it as another HP pool. So in our case, that means we have an extra 16,000 HP protecting our normal HP. Once it gets depleted or broken, normally you have to wait 2 seconds for it to recharge. As an Antiquarian, you only have to wait 1. Or you can use this little iron flask and it will instantly replenish the ward the second it's depleted. And that's the general gist of it. Now, normally, you're not supposed to have 16,000 ward, you're supposed to have something more like 4,000. But these two nodes on Antiquarian lets us convert our chest pieces, armor, and evasion into, well, a shit ton of ward, obviously. On top of that conversion, you can do it again, because you can ward stack with this belt that was just introduced in Settlers League. In total, this puts me at 110%. Now that extra 10% we have does give us more ward. If I'm going to take my best guess, because it says gain rather than convert, I'm assuming it's just taking our final total and just giving us an extra 10%. And just like that, you have 16,000 ward now. Now the next problem, 16,000 ward obviously sounds good, but that's essentially the same as 16,000 ES, right? So two things. One, let's just be honest, man. The Savalan shield is just massively overpowered, and if you stack block on the tree, and number two, take this Antiquarian block node, you are now at the maximum block chance you can have. So to summarize, you have essentially 16,000 health protected by max block, and if somehow you lose all that HP, your iron flask will kick in and replenish all of it. Which means at the drop of a dime, you have 32,000 ward protecting you at any given time. Come on, that's pretty sick. When I plugged those numbers into POB a week ago, I was like, what the fuck is this combo? That's insane. I'm gonna play that. Now, don't get me wrong. I am not saying you're immortal. Ward does not protect you from degens, so you need to pay attention. Don't stand in degens when you can. For the Spectres, you're gonna be rocking a Wraith Lord and going with Frost Bearers. Their whole deal is that they just shotgun, which means, yes, they do a ton of single target, but they also have good clear. If you don't have one or don't know how to get one, two things you can do. Go to Global 6666 and beg on your knees for someone to let you in their hideout, and you can spawn one for yourself. If you manually need to get one, then you can go look for a Verisium ore node, charge the node, hope it spawns a Frostbearer, do not explode the corpse once you finish clearing the node, and now you can spawn the corpse, and there you go. You should be gaming. One quick thing I want to mention though is that when I leveled this character, I switched to Spectres at level 34, because that's when you can put on a Wraith Lord. I'll save you the Google search. Wraith Lords are about 80-ish chaos as of recording this video. And yes, I'll put the gear and the jewels I leveled with all at the POB. It'll be set up for you. Now the next problem you have to worry about is attributes, because right here on Antiquarian, you have to take this node to get to the block node. This is going to make balancing your attributes a complete nightmare, so just don't do it. Instead, use an Elegant Hubris dominated by Caspiro. Take the Supreme Ostentation node and bam, now you don't care about attribute requirements. Keep in mind, that means you don't care about attribute requirements on gear or gems. And since we're just relying on ward to protect our HP pool, we really don't care about losing that bonus strength HP from strength or the mana from int. The loss is so minimal that you won't really even notice it. Quick thing about Brutal Restraint, a lot of people are new, so maybe you didn't know this, they're usually the go-to jewel for minions. The reason is because these little wheels right here can have 80% minion damage. It is worth it. It is extremely good. You don't need it when starting out. I didn't get this until the build was essentially finished. Keep in mind though that they do exist. Now, on top of understanding, how does a build work, most people want to know, okay, well, what can this build do? What can't it do? What's it great at? What's it not so great at? So let me break it down for you. For example, this build dumpsters maps, like juiced T16s, ambush scarab scrat, no problem. My brain was off, I wasn't even paying attention. T17s, I mean, just don't roll them with, like saw blades, and same thing, I really wasn't paying attention, I was just clicking loot, enjoying my time. So just general mapping, it's S tier, 10 out of 10, whatever you want to use, it's amazing. The actual, not so good. Although I did down Uber bosses, I would not say this is a great Uber boss killer. And it's not for lack of damage or tankiness, it's just the same reason as other, like Spectre minion builds. Some boss fights are just ass, man. Trying to do Awakener's ball phase when you have Spectres following you around, they just end up PKing you, they blow the balls up in your face, and it feels like the ultimate betrayal. Or another example, you're fighting any of the Uber Shapers. Things are going well, he's shooting out balls, you're blocking them, you feel great. Then all of a sudden, he starts Goku charging his Kamehameha. He targets all of your Spectres all the time and absolutely obliterates them, just like the Cell Saga. They die, you have to leave the map, go resummon them. Basically, some of these fights are just not good for these Spectres. They're doable, I just wouldn't recommend it. Alright, when it comes to PoE 1, I assume most people playing it have a general idea of how the game works. So I'm going to save your time and not just sit here and, read my path of building off to you. You can open the link up, look at it, and read it yourself, right? You can read, right? But instead of doing that, I'm going to try to do this instead. Number 1, I'm going to tell you how expensive my gear was, whether I bought it or if I crafted it, and add up the value. Number 2, I'm going to briefly go over how I crafted these pieces. It won't be super in-depth, but if you've done basic crafting, you should be able to follow what I did and make the pieces yourself. And number 3, after that, I'm going to give some basic information on what I did to go from red maps to Juice T17 maps and what I was farming along the way. So, starting off, the wand was self-made. It cost me about 6 divines total to make. You just do the basic fossil setup. To save you a Google search, it's 1 corroded, 1 jagged, shuddering, and metallic fossil setup. You need an eye level 84 base minimum, and you have a 1 in 12 chance to get both +2s. That's what you're looking for. Anything else on top of the +2, whether it's attack speed or minion damage, is great. Otherwise, good luck, have fun. Now the jewels. These are all the exact same fracture. Each jewel looks the exact same as this one. The base cost me 1 divine, and I'm using 6 of them. So that's 6 divines in total for the bases. It also cost 1 divine to roll each one. So in total, we're looking at 12 divines for all of them. To craft them, I just used Harvest Blue Juice. You target Caster, and you're looking for cold damage, and then minion attack speed and cast speed. Personally, I didn't settle for anything less than tier 3 cold damage. You may be thinking, well, why not try the other fractures? I did. It didn't work. I spent 2 divines trying to roll them. It ended up being worse. So this is how I did it. The chest piece. You'll probably have to self-make this. In total, it ran me about 7 div. Your mileage may vary. The smartest thing you can do is, before you even craft on it or link it or anything, use a tailoring orb to try to get that defense explicit. Tailoring orbs can break links and break colors, so you should do this first. After that, you need to color an evasion armor chest for 4 blue, 2 green. That is a pain in the ass. I recommend 2 ways to do this. 1, you can just do 3 blue with chromatics and then just use the crafting bench trick to jeweler orb the 4th blue and then work your way up to the 2 green with 6 sockets. The other option, you can use an omen of blanching, which is gonna hopefully give you 3 white, 1 blue, and obviously 2 green, and you're just hoping and praying that you hit the colors. Personally, I just did it with the jeweler orbs route. It cost me about 3,000 jewelers, maybe more, maybe less. Good luck. After that, you just spam dense fossils until you're happy with the armor and evasion rolls. I did not do this because at the time there were no fractures available, but the smart thing would be to get a tier 1 or a tier 2 evasion armor roll on your prefix. And there you go, that's how you make the chest. I also crafted both bone rings. I always craft my bone rings because I just think they're very easy to make. In total for both of them, it was 4 divines. 1 divine per base, 1 divine to roll each one. Same thing as before, all you do is target Blue Juice Caster, and you're looking for minion damage, minion cast speed, and attack speed. And then obviously anything you need. If you're looking for a res, you're hoping for a res. If you don't need anything, then trying to get minion life would be the next best thing. You don't need it, it would be nice though. Okay, here's the deal with the boots. Mine cost me 10 div to make. Now, because I could resell these, I figured, I'll just make a quick pair of boots because it's too complicated to explain, and we'll move on with my life. Yeah, that didn't go well. In a perfect world, here's what you're supposed to do. Grab yourself a pair of Elder boots, and you roll them. You're looking for +1 race Spectre, which is an Elder mod. I use essences because I needed resistances. Most of the time, you're going to hit +1 race Spectre without another Elder mod, and you need 2 Elder mods. Otherwise, you can't use the Orb of Dominance. So how do you guarantee another Elder mod? 2 things. 1, you need to have your suffixes filled. If your suffixes are filled, then you go craft suffixes cannot be changed, which is 2 div, ow. Go to the Harvest crafting bench and click Reforge Chaos. This is going to guarantee another Elder mod on the prefix, which is Desecrated Ground. Now that you have 2 Elder mods, you can use the Orb of Dominance and you hope it upgrades the race Spectre to +2 and you're done. Like I said, hope. That did not happen with these boots. It deletes the race Spectre mod and you have to go again. This happened 3 more times when I was just trying to do this quick demonstration. It sucks. It is what it is, I guess. I'm gonna just fast forward to the part where I actually make them. So 20 minutes later, here we are, another pair of boots. Suffixes are filled. I'm going to do suffixes cannot be changed, Reforge Chaos, Way at the Desecrated Ground, Orb of Dominance, and we finally breathe a sigh of relief. From this point, you can 90% guarantee move speed. You have to go suffixes cannot be changed again, then you buy a Veiled Orb, use the Veiled Orb, and then craft mana. Mana is just a filler, you're not going to keep it forever, it's just to give you a higher chance to roll move speed. When you unveil it, you have like a 90% chance to hit a move speed mod. For these boots, I hit a good move speed mod, Avoid Chill, I craft Life, I'm done. Good luck, in my opinion, probably just buy these. I would not craft these again if I had the choice. Now, adding up the rest of the gear, I end up at about 60 divines in total for my full end game build. That's counting awakening gems, level 21 race specters, multi-modding stuff. In total, 60 divines. Now, I started farming T17s with about 20 to 25 divines spent. And for just, juiced T16s, you can get away with like pretty bad gear. You don't even need a Savalan. You can just run a Dawnbreaker, have a Wraith Lord, and 5 to a 6-link chest, and you'd mostly be fine. That's going to probably be like 5-ish divines. Now, I'm going to save you a lot of time doing this, but essentially, I'm going to go step by step over certain things that I would change in the tree depending on the issues you run into. For example, anytime you're having trouble with your specters, whether it's your perfect warriors, dying and you have to spend money to go get them, or you're just really tired of summoning your frostbearers, if you need them to survive, path down here and just go get this wheel. You can give up a medium cluster or just any HP general nodes, go get this wheel right here, take that 8 max res, 1% leech. That should be all you need to do to keep them alive for pretty much everything. They'll never survive, a shaper beam, but this will solve them for about 95% of the rest of the game. Over here, if you're struggling with, resistance or corrupting blood, because like I said, degens are pretty annoying for this build. You can just solve it with corrupting blood. You can also solve your resistance issue by your elemental resistances cannot be lowered. I pretty much always look for these nodes on the tree. They're just really useful. They can make gearing a lot easier. If you really just don't want to pay attention at all and you just hate the fact that degens exist, you can just get the life regen wheel right here, plus this one right here, and then take any of these. You can take the 50 flat regen. Every 3 seconds you consume a corpse. Basically you can solve your regen with these two, change the tree up, do whatever you want. I did it for a little bit, it was fine, but ultimately, just use a life flask and you'll be fine. Something important to mention is you do not need, 35%, 3%, but 25%, 2%, you should try to get a res. It can be fire, cold, and lightning. Keep in mind that you can always convert a fire to a lightning using the harvest bench. Sometimes people forget that. I personally would just look for all res on these jewels. I mean, look how many nodes you're getting right here. Getting an all res node here pretty much just solves your entire resistance issues. Forking out another, 30 chaos to get solve all your res, in my opinion, it should be worth it. One other thing I'll mention real quick, do not take this node out. On the off chance your specters are off screen, away from you or whatever, you don't want them to not have purity of elements because they'll just die. Save yourself the nightmare, keep this node right here, try to keep your specters alive as much as you can. Now, I'm not going to insult your intelligence. You can look at the POB and see the gems. What I will say though is, keep in mind, you have 2 specter setups. One is your main damage link, and one is obviously your support specter, Perfect Warrior, Forest Tiger, Warlord. In my case right now, I'm only running Warned Warrior. Normally I would have a Warlord, but I wasn't looking and he just blew up against the boss. I don't want to spend the 1 divine to go get him. You should probably do that. I'm lazy. I will say that is the first time the Warlord has ever died in like 28 or 30 hours of playing this character, so normally he never dies. That was just me being stupid. I do want to mention, one, yes, I do not run a Quicksilver. Let me look how fast to build this. You don't need it. It's just not needed. Don't bother running it. The Iron Flask. This thing is extremely important. I didn't mention it earlier because it would be inflating the numbers. If you click it, I actually go to 18,000 word when it kicks in. If you read what Savage Hit does, a hit that removes at least 15% of your life is a Savage Hit. So the idea is that when your ward breaks, if you actually, did take a lot of damage from a hit, then this would automatically proc and refill it, and now you actually have 18,000 ward. I don't want to, inflate numbers, so I just said 16k. And that's essentially how the entire build works. Now for currency with this build, because I league started Sanctum, I already had enough money, so I bought a full set of idols, and I've just been doing ambush farming for the last 3 days. But typically minion builds are really good at boss rushing. I did say it's not great at Ubers, but anything below an Uber, just guardian farming, minions are always good at that. Blight is always the go-to, Harvest, Expedition, you name it, it's pretty much good for it. Just stay away from Harpies. All right, and there you go. That's essentially the build. Long story short, it's a minion build. It's pretty goddamn tanky. You can do all the content. gonna do a new thing, and on top of, you know, all the links to the music and all that crap in the description, I'm also gonna put my PoE profile. So if you want to peek at what I'm working on, you know, spoilers, go ahead. The real reason though is so you can just see my in-game name and just whisper me and ask me a question if you're having trouble with any part of the build. I will say though, keep in mind, I can't play the game for you. So if you're asking me how to level from, you know, like level 20 to level 50, there's only so much I can do. Otherwise, my door is always open. Someday I'll make a Discord. That's just not today. That's it for me. Good luck. Have a good one. I'll catch you later.